This is Pacific Comics Groo #1, and this is Sergio Aragonés' The Groo Chronicles #1. But this is the first Groo comic in his own actual comic. Hi, I'm Darren, these are my hands, and today, as we look at the first issue of Groo, it's the things that Sergio was trying out, so to speak, that didn't end up sticking around very long in Groo comics. Last time we saw the origins of some of the running gags in Groo that showed up in this first PC comic. Today we're going to spend a bit more time with the Groo Chronicles because it's always fun to compare. So let's get into it. Ooh, get into the groove. Have you been here all week? Awesome bookmark? All right. How to do this and how to compare. Groo the Wanderer, Friends and Enemies by Sergio Aragonés. You know, something that we didn't notice last week, and maybe it was because of the coloring, or maybe it was because of the print work, or maybe I just wasn't paying close enough attention, but I see Groo wearing a V-neck on this splash page, don't you? Isn't this Groo's V-neck? If we don't see it clearly on the splash page here, pages 2 and 3, we certainly do see it on pages 4. Like, look at that, V-neck, V-neck city. And on page 5, V-neck, V-neck. And further along, check out this deep V-neck on Groo the Wanderer's jerkin. The V-neck was something that Sergio did not keep in Groo the Wanderer, but it's kind of fun to see it here right at the very beginning again, just like we saw the very first time we saw Groo in Destroyer Duck #1. Now, conspicuous by my lack of mentioning him last video, coloring by Gordon Kent, and of course Tom Luth recolored for the Groo Chronicles. Taking a look in the Groograms, Mark Evanier tells us that Gordon Kent is no less a fine cartoonist than Stan Sakai, and we know what a fine cartoonist Stan Sakai is. He's also a top writer and storyboarder in the world of television animation, and he's a coloring wizard. But Gordon Kent was not destined to stay with Groo the Wanderer, and because I know you want to know just like I want to know, PC Groo #4. Our coloring gent is still a poor Gordon Kent, but PC Groo #5 on the fancy new paper, coloring Tom Luth. So, it's not necessarily that Sergio got rid of Gordon Kent, but Gordon Kent didn't stick with Groo the Wanderer beyond his first few appearances and the first 4 issues of Pacific Comics #Groo. All right, let's take a look at page #4 here. Groo's introspection. Yes, from time to time he is prone to introspection, but it's not a developed character trait in Groo. But we do see it right here. Someone has a reason for wanting me dead many times over, but who? I need a place to sort things out, Groo says, someplace safe. So it's more than just a thought or two. Groo's doing some soul searching. And yes, he does do that in future comics as well, but not a developed character trait of our lovable wanderer. And then in the next few pages, we see something that seems out of character as well for Groo. He exhibits a type of bravado, a machismo, that really isn't characteristic of the Groo that we come to know and love. When asked, Groo, why don't you carry your sword in your belt like a normal person? Zip! It's out, and it's given this guy's mustache a trim. And Groo is sly, and he knows he's showing off. Taranto says, "Ha ha, don't mess with Groo, he moves like lightning." And Groo not missing a beat. Now bring on the cheese dip. This inn is forbidden to soldiers, this soldier says, and it's illegal and sinful. To which Groo replies, we'll close it down. I don't know, it doesn't really seem Groo-like to me. Excuse me, sir. Looking for a table? Hey, leave it to me, Taranto. Groo will get it. This table looks perfect. And he wipes the bar with the guy. Here, let me dust you off, sir. I don't know. This bravado just doesn't seem like our lovable barbarian. That old man can't handle all those women. Let's spread the wealth. Smile, ladies. Groo is here to enliven your lives. Turning on the charm for the ladies in a creepy sort of way. I don't know. It just doesn't seem like, I don't want to say that humble Groo, but definitely that likable, lovable barbarian. I don't know that I would like this guy too much. All right, let's move on to something else that Sergio decided to get rid of pretty early on in the Groo comics. You know, it was rare, but not unheard of for Sergio to draw bare-breasted women in the early days of Groo. I think as time has passed, he curbed his drawing of them, at least in the ways that imply something like, here's an attractive woman to ogle. Most issues of PC Groo do have bare-breasted women, and while there were a handful in the epic and image runs as well, I don't remember noticing them in Groo for a long, long time now. And even in the later years, when Sergio did draw them, they were usually seen washing laundry in a river, so it was less gratuitous and more practical in nature. Something Sergio got rid of in his Groo comics. And it's probably a good thing, too. How about this? Halt, friend or foe, this guard asks. We see Groo's arm reaching down off panel with a squeeze and a yow. Maybe this was the only testicle humor that we've had in Groo the Wanderer? Check this out. Groo's pouch. What does he store in it? I think at one point we read that maybe he stores his spices in his pouch. Well, take a look at what's coming out of his pouch as he opens it up in these panels. Could it be that Groo keeps some flint in his pouch to start fires? I think that's what's going on there. And as we mentioned earlier, this huge V-neck opening in Groo's jerkin. Gone is the V-neck. Oh, I love the V-neck. Maybe I don't. I love that we discovered the V-neck. All right, taking a look at page 12. Groo on a horse. What is Groo doing riding a horse? This is not something we see Groo doing very often, although it is not totally unheard of. Look at this. It's issues 62 and 63 of the Marvel Epic Run. Groo is on a horse. Yes, these are horse-based issues. Horse scents. Real estate. Hang on for a second. Did I get the wrong comic out? Yes, I did. What a blunder. 61, The Horses of Cabello. Check out all those horses. Look at Groo on a horse. And, I don't know, it's kind of interesting that there's his little skull, his Netsuka there, and his horse also has these little skull things there. These are obviously too small to be human head-sized skulls. Why does the horse have that on his reins? It's almost as if this horse was destined to be ridden by Groo. So, it's not that Groo never rides a horse, only that he does it rarely. And here he is, rarely riding a horse in Pacific Comics Groo number 1. Something that Sergio kind of got rid of. Or maybe he never even took it up in the first place, so to say. All right, I had another page because it's time to take a look at the underside of Groo's Jerkin. Yeah, I'm kind of glad that we don't see a lot of the underside of Groo's Jerkin. In fact, I cannot remember another drawing of Groo where we kind of get that angle. I'm glad that it's dark under there. And maybe we should just move on, as Sergio did, from the underside of Groo's Jerkin. Something I cannot move on from, though, is this drawing of Groo right here. He is crazed. Look at his teeth. Look at his tongue. Look at his eyeballs. Crazy Groo in the midst of battle. He is a barbarian. He is almost a berserker here. I love this drawing of Groo. In fact, if I could have one original drawing from Groo, one single panel, this, at least today, is the one that I would want. That's an awesome drawing of Groo. He is so hilariously funny there. And while we're on page 15, something that Sergio got rid of is blood. Blood, 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 blood. Actually, I'm becoming more convinced that all this blood is a Gordon Kent thing. And I'm thinking that these monochromatic crowds was also a Gordon Kent thing too. Take a look at Tom Luth's wonderful recoloring of this panel with all of the characters so precisely, intricately, detail, color. That's a lot of work. Maybe with all the other things Gordon had going on, he just didn't have time. Maybe Sergio said, I want these colored, and Tom's my man. Who knows? But the blood is gone, at least from the colors of the recoloring of Pacific Groo's. Yeah, there's a lot of dark liquid on Groo's swords that Sergio is definitely responsible for. But I do think that you have to give Gordon Kent some of the credit for bringing blood into Groo. Here's something else that I think is a good thing that Sergio got rid of in Groo comics. Talking about this band of soldiers camped in the town, creating havoc and destruction. First they start drinking, then they start the pillaging, then they start the raping. Yuck. That is not a funny joke. So I'm glad to see in the Groo Chronicles that Sergio decided to rewrite this, and then they steal the woman. And the joke continues again on page 18, where it is rewritten. Mind your own business. I think it's a good rewrite. Let's continue to the Sage comic. Oh, wait a second. Here's that tree at the end of the comic. It's clearly not the same tree as on the opening splash page, but is a very similar tree. It's a very similar scene. In fact, Groo hiding, a band of soldiers wanting to kill him, running along behind the tree. And the tree is just gorgeous. In fact, maybe the tree at the beginning of the comic is even more gorgeous than the tree at the back of the comic. I think the colors do work really well here that Tom has done for the reprint. Yeah, I like the difference in the choices that Tom has made over Gordon. Making the army a little bit of a lighter color in the background here allows the tree to stand out a bit more. Looks really good. It's a beautiful tree. Nice coloring too. Let's take a look at the Sage comic. He roamed all about the land in a day gone by, and they called him the Sage. These backup Sage stories were a staple of the PC run, but they disappeared until the last couple of years of the Epic Comics run. They actually returned. There were 9 more Sage stories running about every other issue from the late 90s of the Epic run to, I think, maybe issue 111 or 114, something like that. We'll take a close look here at the reprint. just because it looks so beautiful. And we've got this wild-eyed, wiry mustached looking sage. He's much more, I want to say, unhinged looking than the sage that we come to know and love. Yeah, sometimes his mustache is nice and full too, isn't it? But sometimes in the way that it's colored, it just looks like this stringy, springy, like look at these little whiskers sticking out of the side of his nose there. That's his mustache. And the dog, I think in the past I've called him proto-mulch. I don't think that he really is a proto-mulch. I think that he is a not mulch dog. Got to go take another look here. What was Gordon Kent coloring this doggy like? Not even close to mulch colored in the original. So this dog, look at that hound. He's kind of got the wiry mustache of the sage. Is just not mulch. And as nice as it was to have, you know, maybe a dozen sage short comics over the years, it was something that he started in the early days of Groo with, but eventually decided to get rid of. You know, I hope that you like this format for taking a look at the first proper Groo comic book. I think now would be a good time to take a look at many of the things that Sergio included in this issue that went on to be continuing features in Groo the Wanderer. So click up here and we'll continue. Please click over here to subscribe and do the other good things. And if for some reason this is your first Groo #1, the algorithm says you'll probably want to watch this video next. Take care, everyone.